I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, at this point, bro, it's over. Like, the issues that SmackDown consistently has every single week are so evident, you can't hide them. You can't hide them anymore, bro. At this point, it's the equivalent of trying to stick like an elephant inside of a movie theater, bro. Like, you can't do it. This is impossible to just ignore these issues at this point. Another boring, filler, monotonous piece of garbage that is shown in front of our eyes yet again. I don't understand what is happening, man. I don't get it. This 3-hour format is atrocious. You get so much filler, so much garbage, so many meaningless segments and meaningless matches that aren't even wrestled well. It's like, what are we doing at this point? Nothing matters until the Royal Rumble, and quite frankly, nothing's really going to matter after the Royal Rumble either. Like, I have a feeling that the Royal Rumble may be a good PLE, right? But after that, we know nothing ain't coming from it except for maybe one or two things. Like, maybe there will be a good feud set up, or maybe a good feud or two, and that's it. Like, let's be real with ourselves. This was a disaster, a diabolical disaster, or as Billy Butcher would say, a diabolical. You know what I'm saying? I can't stop thinking about Punk. I had to throw that in there. But yeah, it's absurd at this point. So we're going to break down this show, this disaster class of a show, and let's just go ahead and get right into it. Starting off, Cody Rhodes' championship reign needs to end. All right, let's just be real. It needs to be over versus Kevin Owens next week at Royal Rumble. I know Kevin Owens is, a career mid-carder, and he's never won, or had a long world championship reign that was amazing or good or anything like that. But Kevin Owens is far better at his job than Cody Rhodes is. He is a better promo worker. He is a better in-ring performer as far as I'm personally concerned. He has a better catalog of matches just in general. And on top of that, Kevin Owens at this point is just a more engaging and more charismatic wrestler and performer. He's more entertaining, in other words. You get what I'm saying? So it's as simple as that. And right now, he's a lot more interesting than Cody Rhodes. He has everything that Cody doesn't have, and it's just that simple. Cody Rhodes comes out and cuts an awful promo. Joe Tessitore basically sets up an interview that him and Cody Rhodes are supposed to have, and it goes absolutely nowhere. This was obviously just done to get Cody out in front of the crowd and get a good pop and all this other stuff, but he isn't actually saying anything. He basically comes out there, Joe Tessitore asks some stupid questions. Like, Joe Tessitore asks him at some point in this whole thing, he's like, what would the last thing that you would say to Kevin Owens look like? Like, what is the final thing you would say before you fight him? And I'm like, what are you talking about? What does that even mean? You're going to see him tomorrow at Saturday Night Main Event. You're going to see him next week on SmackDown. And you're going to see him at the Royal Rumble. What do you mean the last thing he's going to say? He's going to say it tomorrow on the show. Like, what are you talking about? But anyways, he asked Cody Rhodes, how are you feeling ahead of this contract signing and all this stuff with Shawn Michaels tomorrow at Saturday Night Main Event? And Cody Rhodes, as usual, proceeds to go off and do his own thing like Miles Morales and says absolute nonsense. He proceeds to talk about, I respect Kevin Owens. I think Kevin Owens is a generational talent, and I thank you, Austin, for everything you've done for this company, and I respect you so much. And then he proceeds to say nonsense about Kevin Owens is an actual generational talent. I really appreciate this dude and everything he's done. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? A generational talent? Huh? At this point, the glazing that happens, we're going to talk about this later with Rhea Ripley and Tiffany Stratton and Liv Morgan and Bianca. All these women got in the ring later and just absolutely glazed each other. That's all it was. They came out and just praised everything that they've ever done and just started meat riding. That's all it was. And this is the new style of promos by most baby faces inside of WWE. That's it. And just people in general. It's all about, I respect you. I appreciate you. How about you show some fight? If you're a heel, right, stop kissing up to your opponent. If you're a face, stop kissing up to your opponent. It doesn't make any sense. Are you a heel or are you a face or are you a pretender? What are you? You're garbage. That's the answer to the question. But Cody Rhodes basically says all those things, calls Kevin Owens a generational talent, which is just an absolute lie at this point. And then he proceeds to ramble on about, the ecosystem of WWE is very complex. The ecosystem, the weather, the global warming, the ice cap. Like, what are you talking about? Cut a promo. And then he proceeds to say, the subvert, the overt, the covert, the dovert, the lovert, the bovert. Shut up! Cut a promo, man! What are you talking about? The subvert, the covert, the overt, the ecosystem. What is this, biology? What are you talking about? We're talking about my marine biology with ecosystems and all this other garbage. Just cut a promo, man. Go out there, bash Kevin Owens, make fun of the fact that, like Cody said for like 10 seconds of the promo, he's like, you're sitting in your car cutting promos while I'm out here in the ring with my championship. More stuff like that than just talking about covert and overt and marine biology. What are you doing? And then he starts rambling about how he beat Roman Reigns. He beat Gunther. These are some massive accomplishments. You beat Roman Reigns with the help of Undertaker, like Jey Uso and John Cena. So what? You beat Gunther, who Gunther hasn't wrestled in like 7 weeks. He's not a fighting champion, and Gunther got pinned clean by Sami Zayn. So you've basically accomplished absolutely nothing in the industry, and you've had one of the worst championship reigns ever. So, now at this point, I don't even know what to even say at this point, man. The American Nightmare gimmick in Cody Rhodes over the last year has been a disaster. He has nothing to say. He has nothing to add. The camera's awkwardly zooming in on his face as his eyes are closed as he's just rambling on. That's how you know you're rambling on, when his eyes are closed and he's still talking. Like, there's nothing to say at this point. This promo in this segment was awful. It was pointless and meaningless, and we'll just see them both on Saturday night mid-event. Then we have Pretty Deadly with a disaster class segment with DIY. This is the problem. If you're telling me that the show's going to go to 3 hours, I'm expecting you to give time to, your good talent that doesn't get time on the show. Basically people, like your Montez Fords, your Angelo Dawkins, we're going to talk about Apollo Cruz later, because Apollo was cooking later, but we're going to talk about him. People like that LA Knight, of course, even your U.S. champion Shinsuke Nakamura, who doesn't even get on the show, right? He's your U.S. champion. The show's 3 hours, and he's been on the show maybe 2 times in the last 6 weeks. So you took the title off LA Knight, who's having a great reign, and was defending every week or every other week and getting great promos week after week. You take it off of him to give it to Shinsuke, who's wrestled 1 or 2 matches in 6 or 7 weeks and has contributed absolutely nothing on this show. But apparently Triple H is cooking. He's a great booker, allegedly. But anyways, we can't pinpoint one little thing and say he's a bad booker, but he's booked a lot of things poorly, so there you have that. Anyways, Pretty Deadly basically is talking to DIY backstage about absolutely nothing. They go out there. Pretty Deadly's basically telling DIY, how do you guys want us to do this? And DIY's like, yes, I need you guys to handle business. DIY are boring. And DIY is boring, I should say. And Pretty Deadly is also horrendous. They go out and get no reaction from the crowd, and then they fight the Motor City Machine Bums for the 50th time. The last 4 weeks have consisted of Motor City Machine Guns versus DIY. Motor City Machine Guns versus DIY. Motor City Machine Guns versus DIY. Motor City Machine Guns versus Garza versus Pretty Deadly. It's the same thing. It's the same match. And I'm going to ask you guys this. What happens if Motor City Machine Guns lost to Pretty Deadly tonight? Nothing. What happens if they win against Pretty Deadly tonight? Nothing. It is pointless, it is meaningless, and that is the measure for what Smackdown is. Ask yourself before every segment, match, or promo, what happens if this goes well? What happens if this goes bad? What happens if this person loses? What happens if they win? And the answer is nothing changes, and that's why everything is meaningless. Now we get to The Miz. The Miz is now a Smackdown wrestler, and he's upset that the Wyatt Six are also on Smackdown, but he shouldn't be, because the Wyatt Six get as much TV time as I do. So, you know what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter. So what, the Wyatt Six are on SmackDown? They haven't done anything. They've contributed nothing. And like I said, as soon as the Wyatt Six was teased and they finally debuted, I told everyone they would have a feud with Chad Gable and them, and that feud would basically, get some random climax match on Raw that would end in like 15 minutes. They did that. And then when they feuded with Karrion Kross and The Miz, I told you guys, one random Raw match that they'll either win or lose, obviously, and then we'll never hear from that storyline again. And look what happened. 2 months ago, they had that match, or whatever it was, 2 or 3 months ago. Haven't seen that feud continued since, because nobody cares about the Final Testament. Nobody cares about Karrion Kross. Nobody cares about the Wyatt Six, because they are jobbers. There's nothing that they do well, and they're not interesting, and they fell off. They're going to the B show, which is SmackDown, and SmackDown's quality is in the F range. So now you're on the F show doing nothing. So there you have that. The Miz, we move on from this. Nobody even cares what The Miz has to say. Let's be real with ourselves. The Miz is a legend all time. Don't get me wrong. Not a legend, but he's an all-time great. I like The Miz. He's a great guy. Amazing promo worker and all this stuff. But, man, I mean, also a model of consistency, of course. But, man, this dude right now is just a jobber, and it is what it is. Then we have Kevin Owens interrupts Joe Tessitore and Wade Barrett on commentary, which I actually enjoyed this. Kevin Owens is a very entertaining performer. I will say that. There's very few times where I'm actually bored with Kevin Owens' promos. So Kevin Owens comes out, cuts a solid promo basically saying that Joe Tessitore has the audacity to interview Cody Rhodes, but won't interview him, And he says that Joe Tessitore is kissing up to Cody, and same with The Rock and all these other losers that are kissing up to Cody Rhodes because Cody Rhodes is some good guy. He's this, he's that. And he basically calls everyone a bunch of glazers. And then he looks at Matthew McConaughey, which Matthew McConaughey was in the crowd tonight, which is cool. Matthew McConaughey did look drunk out of his mind, though. They panned the camera, and this dude has no idea what was happening, bro. But Kevin Owens basically says, I'm going to beat you like the Ohio State, beat your Longhorns, So that's that. Kevin Owens basically comes out, talks trash, bashes everybody just like a heel should, gets good heat from the fans as a heel, and that's pretty much your segment until Jimmy Uso comes out randomly in the name of defending Cody Rhodes, I guess, and then beats up Kevin Owens for a second. Kevin Owens runs away. This sets up the main event of Jimmy Uso versus Kevin Owens. It really is mind-boggling. Think about this. Remember after Survivor Series when they said Bronson Reed broke his foot, Tonga Loa tore his bicep, and then Jimmy Uso broke his foot, or broke his toe or something like that, broke his toes, whatever happened, right? How is it that Jimmy Uso did that, 2 months ago? And in the 2-month span, he's wrestled probably 3 or 4 matches on SmackDown, and Cody Rhodes has maybe wrestled once. And Gunther has wrestled 0 times in the last 2 months. 0 outside of Saturday Night Main Event. So 1 match in 8 weeks versus a dude who broke his toe and he's wrestling 3 or 4 matches in 8 weeks. How is this possible? How is this possible? How is it possible that someone can be injured and then wrestling more than you are? But you're fully healthy and you're sitting in a suit talking about Cody, J. Just be quiet, man. It's absolutely ridiculous. So there's that segment. Kevin Owens, pretty entertaining promo, and you have that. Then you have the women's... We got a match, but I saw the graphic for this while I was watching, and I genuinely laughed out loud. Michin and B-Fab versus Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. Is this a joke? Is this NXT? What is this? NXT is a solid show, don't get me wrong, but dude, come on, man. This is a match that belongs on NXT. This is not a match that belongs on the main roster. And NXT, I don't even know if it's solid. I've only watched 4 full episodes of that in the last 8 years. Sorry, the last 10 years actually. So I don't even know if it's solid or not. But the episodes I've seen have been pretty good from the ones that I've seen. So there you have that. But still, man, this is an embarrassment. Why is this on the main roster? Why is this on main roster programming? It makes absolutely no sense. I don't even care about this match. Michin pins Chelsea Green clean in the middle of the ring. So that's going to set up their rematch for the U.S. Championship next week. And now that she has B-Fab as backup, I guess Piper can't interfere. Some nonsense like that. This is all dumb. The U.S. Championship for the women's division means absolutely nothing. Nobody cares if Piper Niven wins. Nobody cares if Chelsea Green has it. Nobody cares if Michin has it. No one cares if B-Fab has it. And I know that because when this match happened, the crowd evaporated. The crowd died. There was no reaction to anything because guess what? Nobody cares. Now let's move on to the next thing. Melo Hayes is backstage, basically talking trash to Nick Aldis. He's saying, I should be wrestling Jimmy this week, and Jimmy's going to be wrestling Carmelo Hayes next week, so you have that. But the fact is that, look, Carmelo Hayes now is just the workhorse of SmackDown. Him, LA Knight, even, the Bloodline like Fatu and Tama Tonga, even though Fatu doesn't wrestle, he's usually doing something physical or brawling every single week. These are the real workhorses in the ring. Your Nia Jaxes, all these people who actually wrestle consistently. But people, you know what I'm saying, like Gunther and Cody Rhodes, who are your champions, who are never wrestling, it's mind-boggling. You wonder why these shows are so boring, because nobody wrestles. No one meaningful does anything good on the mic, and then they don't wrestle, so what's the point of any of this? It's an embarrassment. But Melo Hayes is talking trash, and then Nick Aldis says, we have a new signing to SmackDown that's going to be able to see you soon. And then basically they wait backstage for a second, and it's revealed that the new signing is Damian Priest. Damian Priest is now a SmackDown star because he has absolutely nothing left to do on Raw anyways, so you might as well ship him over here and have him do absolutely nothing on SmackDown instead, Damian Priest pretty much peaked with that world title run, and the world title run that he had wasn't even good. It was a transitional championship run, and everybody knows it now, so you have that. And we're going to talk about Damian Priest and Cody Rhodes a little bit later in the night, because apparently something's going to happen with them in the WWE Championship, so we're going to see that garbage when it happens. Then we have Charlotte Flair is basically coming back at the Royal Rumble next week. I don't know why they would announce this in a video segment. I don't know why they didn't just save this for the actual Royal Rumble, just have her enter and get the natural pop itself, but everything's announced beforehand. It probably would have leaked out anyway that she was showing up, so it is what it is. Charlotte Flair at this point, it'll be good to see her back in the ring. Hopefully she wrestles some great matches in, her return, because she probably doesn't have more than 3 to 4 years left at wrestling at this level. So, I mean, it's time for her to either have a championship run, feud with Tiffany, do whatever, but at this point, I'm done with Tiffany Stratton. And speaking of Tiffany, this is the new thing that we need to discuss. Tiffany Stratton comes out to the ring and does absolutely nothing. Nada. Nothing. Tiffany Stratton now is basically rendered to be absolutely useless in the women's division. I hate to break it to you guys, but the women's division is absolutely atrocious right now. No one in the women's division can cut a good promo. It's proven, it's seen, it's just in front of us. The only exceptions to that, believe it or not, are like Zelina Vega, and that's pretty much it. That's literally it. Like, literally no one else is cutting a half decent. Oh, yeah, my bad. Becky Lynch is cutting great promos. Of course she is. But other than that, you have nothing. You know, Alexa Bliss isn't returning anytime soon, so you don't have her to cut great promos right now. So you have this. You know, you're stuck with Tiffany Stratton basically coming out and saying, once again, I'm the center of reality. I'm the center of discussion. It's Tiffy time. It's Tiffy time. Stop. I'm tired of everybody coming out and having the same gimmick. It's the same gimmick. They come out, oh, hey, how are you doing today? Are you having a good day? Do you want some libations? Do you want some Wheatley? Like, dude, what are you talking about? Go out and cut a promo. You don't have to have these stupid, really high-pitched voices like you're Harley Quinn or something like that running out there saying absolute and utter nonsense. It is egregious, it makes no sense, and it's getting genuinely annoying. Just imagine everywhere you go, you have someone talking in your ear, talking about some, hey man, are you doing okay? Hey, can we do this? It's Tiffy time, it's Tiffy time. Like, that's annoying. The character is annoying. It just is. Her, Chelsea Green, Rhea Ripley, all these people are all annoying. All of them. Literally all of them. Then after Tiffany Stratton reminds us that she won her championship or retained her title last week, we see Rhea Ripley come out, and she's actually surprisingly on Smackdown. You know, with the transfer window, Rhea Ripley shows up. You know, she got a great pop from the crowd. It was unexpected. Cool. You know, you have a star cameoing on another show. Nice. But what is Rhea Ripley going to do on that mic? And I'm going to tell you what she did, which was garbage promos. She comes out there. She basically tells Tiffany Stratton, you know, I know you won your title last week, but I'm a world champion too. And I think that the woman who wins the Royal Rumble should fight me. And then Nia Jax interrupts. Nia Jax basically comes out and says absolute nonsense. To credit Nia Jax, she is extremely over as a heel, something that Gunther can't accomplish. I keep bringing up Gunther because it bothers me how Gunther is the world champion and he's holding the belt hostage. So I have to keep bringing it up. But Nia Jax at this point, she's honestly underrated, right? Nia Jax at this, you know, she wrestles consistently, right? That's the key with Nia Jax. She wrestles consistently. She's able to at least, you know, be there consistently to somewhat build her feuds that were largely bad during her championship reign. And quite frankly, Nia Jax, you know what you're going to get from her. You're going to get at least a decent or maybe a solid match, and you're going to get a person who's working consistently throughout the weeks. You can't count on anyone else in the women's division to really do that outside of Bianca, Io Sky, and Becky Lynch when she's actually there and healthy. That's it. That's really it. No one else, you can't count on anyone else to actually do that consistently. Rhea has 4 Raw matches in a year and a half. Tiffany wrestles like once a month at best, and that's that. And now that Tiffany is champion, we know dang well she ain't wrestling. You know what I'm saying? Like the days of her wrestling one week or, you know, once every 3 or 4 weeks, those are done. She's wrestling once every 5 to 6 weeks now, and you need to accept it. You know, she wrestled last week. She ain't wrestling this week, the week after that, the week after that, and the week after that. Accept it and move on. Nia Jax basically comes out and tells some fan in the crowd, she's like, your mom sucks, kid. She's getting booed out of the building, you know, talking a bunch of trash, basically saying that she's going to go into the Royal Rumble anyways, even though she's fighting Rhea tomorrow night on Raw. I guess they had to kind of retcon that to make it make sense. But Nia basically says she's going to win the title versus Rhea, and then she's going to proceed to take the title back from Tiffany that she never lost, yeah, you know, so we got that gimmick coming back. I never lost the title fairly, yeah, so I'm going to take back my title that I never lost, yeah. And then we get Bianca and Naomi come out. They basically announce that they're both entering into the Royal Rumble, and they both basically say out loud, they're like, you know, if you don't win the Royal Rumble, at least I am, and if I don't win, then you will win. Yay! Isn't it a happy family? Isn't it a great day to be in Austin, Texas? You know what I'm saying? This crowd died after this, but they died actually earlier during that Michin and Chelsea Green, whatever thing that was, so there you have that. Then after Bianca and Naomi say this, Liv Morgan comes out, and now we are officially looking at Jobbermania inside of the ring. Everyone in this ring is an absolute jobber outside of Bianca Belair and maybe Nia Jax, and that's pretty much that. You know, everyone in this ring doesn't know what they're doing on the mic. That I'll say that even Bianca doesn't know what the heck she's doing on the mic for the most part. I mean, she's had some good promos in the past, and she's capable of doing so, unlike pretty much everyone else in the ring. However, everyone in the ring just is accustomed to cutting bad or annoying or just mediocre promos. Liv Morgan basically says, Rhea. I thought I would never have to say that again, but we're back again. She basically says all of that nonsense, and then basically says the fact that she's going into the Royal Rumble as well. Why does every single person have to confess that they're in the Royal Rumble? Why? Nobody cares if you're in the Royal Rumble or not. It's your job to go out and wrestle. So don't give an announcement when you're going out to actually wrestle in the Royal Rumble. It's the biggest match that gives you the biggest opportunity of the year, and you have to announce that you're in the match? You should already be in it. But anyways, after this happens, basically all of them are brawling inside of the ring. They brawl. It sets up Rhea, Bianca, and Naomi versus Nia Jax, Candice LeRae, and Liv. I don't know why Candice LeRae is still out here, but it is what it is. Then after this, They brawl, they fight or whatever. They have the match. It's meaningless. Nobody cares. It's pretty forgettable. Rhea Ripley basically riptides Liv Morgan onto Nia Jax, basically solidifying the fact that she's going to pin Nia Jax tomorrow. And it is what it is. Liv Morgan is effectively a jobber now. She lost her belt, and now she's getting riptided onto other people, and it's over. And after this happens, Candice LeRae gets involved for a second or whatnot, but then all of a sudden, Rhea Ripley just basically dominates her, destroys her, and then I think Bianca came in and hit the KOD on Candice LeRae, and that was the end of the match. Then we have Apollo Crews versus Johnny Gargano. No one cares about this match, but we have to give props to Apollo Crews, who did a very good job in this match. He looked strong, he looked athletic, he looked bouncy, he looked absolutely phenomenal in this match. He did a good job, and quite frankly, Apollo Crews, I wouldn't mind an Apollo Crews push. I haven't seen this dude cut promos. So if he actually, let me tell you something right now, bro. If Apollo Crews can actually cut good promos or just serviceable promos, bro, in comparison to who he's going against, this dude can win a U.S. championship straight up. In the ring, he has everything you need. He's got a unique moveset. He's athletic. Like I said, his moves are believable. He's super strong. He has a great build. I mean, what else does he need? If he can cut promos, that's pretty much that. All he would need to do is obviously connect with the audience and get over. But, I mean, we can worry about that later. Shinsuke ain't getting over with nobody. He's sitting at home right now, and he's got the title. So, who cares? Apollo looked great in this match. Got to give respect where it's due. Then we get Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga cutting a promo backstage. This was funny. Jacob Fatu forgot his lines for a second, obviously. He comes out there. Jacob Fatu is basically talking about some, what did he say? He basically had to say, he's like, hey, yo! And then he looked over off camera for like 5 seconds because he clearly forgot what he needed to say. And then Jacob Fatu proceeds to basically talk about absolutely nothing. He basically brings up the fact, he's like, I'm built different, dog. Braun Strowman, you think you Godzilla? You think you King Kong? Man, forget all that, bruh. I'm both of them combined, man. I'm off the scale with it. He's saying nonsense like usual, like he did last week, talking about some, I'm taking back what's mine. What is yours? Has he even competed in a singles match ever outside of that one like qualifier versus Jey Uso a couple months ago before War Games? Like, he hasn't done anything. So again, it doesn't make any sense. But there you have that. Basically, he says all that nonsense. Says he's gonna beat Braun Strowman, but first, Tama Tonga gonna beat you up, LA Knight. And then Tama Tonga's like, with everybody saying yeah, 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 yeah. You know what I'm saying? That was really, really good. Great ending to the promo. Tama Tonga is actually really entertaining. So is Jacob Fatu, so I'll give him that. Despite Jacob Fatu cutting a nonsense promo, it was entertaining. Tama Tonga fights LA Knight. There's really nothing to speak about here. Tama Tonga loses to LA Knight, obviously, off of I almost said a BLT, a BFT. And then Jacob Fatu gets involved, beats up LA Knight for a second. And then we basically get Braun Strowman and Jacob Fatu doing a stare down and a standoff. And that's pretty much the end of that. They did a standoff last week. It's the same stuff. They don't actually fight each other, obviously, because they're wrestling tomorrow. So there's nothing to really speak of there. At least LA Knight got a clean win. And that's pretty much that. Then we get to Damian Priest versus Carmelo Hayes. This match was actually mildly entertaining. I don't think it was good, but it was decent. For the two competitors in the match, I thought this match was going to universally be great and be like one of the best SmackDown matches of the last year. But, it wasn't. It was just a decent little match, mildly entertaining. Some good selling by Damian Priest, obviously. Some good selling from Carmelo Hayes. The crowd at this point was absolutely exasperated because, you can't sit here and watch this garbage for 3 hours and just have energy. What the crowd is reacting to is proving that these shows are not that good. It really is as simple as you see it in front of you. If they're 3 hours into a show and you're not even 3 hours yet. At this point, they were like 2 hours in and the crowd's absolutely dead. What would have happened, hypothetically speaking, if SmackDown was like 4 hours? Everyone would have been gone by like 3 hours and 10-minute mark. The crowd was dead for this match, unfortunately, but the match was decent. Damian Priest ends up winning with a South of Heaven. I really wish that Carmelo Hayes would have won this match because, Carmelo Hayes needs to win something, man. I'm tired of them treating him like a jobber. He cuts good promos. He's a workhorse. He's consistent. He's great in the ring. He's charismatic. Great moveset. His presentation is really solid. He's got a good theme. I don't know what else he needs to finally win a match or do something of meaning, but it is what it is. Then after this is basically when I'm going to have to talk about the fact that Damian and Cody had a backstage moment, which is basically going to be setting up Damian Priest and Cody probably having a title match, and it was some point within the next month or at Elimination Chamber, and honestly, nobody wants to see that. Damian Priest is a jobber. Cody Rhodes is a jobber masquerading as a main eventer, so no one wants to see this feud. The promos leading up to it, we know would be awful. I'm El Campeon. I'm Damian Priest. El Campeon. Real talk. Let me tell you something, bro. 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 Real talk. You know what I'm saying? And then Cody Rhodes basically is saying absolutely nothing as well. He's like, I'm glad to have you on SmackDown, Damian. And then Damian's like, yeah, well, we'll talk soon, champ. and that's that. No one cares about this. It is what it is. The Kevin Owens main event versus Jimmy Uso is pretty mediocre and forgettable. Nobody cares about this. The biggest story about the entire thing is that Kevin Owens was basically beating the crap out of Jimmy Uso. I didn't even check to see if he won the match or not because, quite frankly, I shut the show off with like 25 minutes left. I don't really care. So I watched back what happened in the actual match. Kevin Owens was about to pile drive Jimmy Uso on the table. And after that happened, Cody Rhodes' music hit. He came out. They did a whole brawl segment. And that was pretty much that. Setting up the intensity for tomorrow night at Saturday Night Main Event when they inevitably do absolutely nothing and we're bored to death for like 20 minutes of a segment on a show that's supposed to be doing wrestling matches. So, you have that. Basically, Cody Rhodes' reign is terrible. Kevin Owens came out in a Naomi t-shirt, which I thought was kind of funny, to spite Jimmy Uso, I suppose. So, there you have that. Jimmy Uso wrestling this much is honestly just ridiculous. I don't even know why he's doing all of this realistically. I mean, I guess he's trying to have his singles run and build his singles run like Jey Uso did, but, we'll just have to see what happens with this dude's journey. Hopefully he gets over and hopefully it works out for him in the long run. But the KO and Cody feud is dead. I don't care what happens next. Unless KO's winning that championship, I have nothing to say. So there you have that. This episode of SmackDown gets a hot 2 out of 10. There's really no redeeming quality about this show. The Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu promo was fun. The Melo versus Damian match was okay. And everything else was absolutely atrocious. Literally awful. So there you have that. I'm giving this episode a 2 out of 10, like I said. Probably one of the worst SmackDowns of the last year and a half. And maybe a 3 out of 10 just because it wasn't the worst I've ever seen, but it's close to that worst. Like, it's in that category or slightly above it. So it's between a 2 or a 3 out of 10. An F grade level SmackDown as per usual. I thank you all for watching this video, and you already know your boy C-Jax is going to be back tomorrow night for that Saturday Night Main Event review. The show's probably going to suck, but we'll just see what happens. I'll be there to review it shortly after the show ends. I should have a review out within an hour or so after the show is over, so enjoy that when it gets to it. Thank you guys so much for your support. Thank you for watching. Have a phenomenal night, a phenomenal day, you know what I'm saying? Libation Station, Jey Uso, yeet, Cody. You know what I'm saying? I'm just rambling at this point. Kind of like Cody and Gunther in their promos. Anyways, have a great day, everyone. Peace out. One love.